Recording. Welcome to our Thursday evening book launch. My name is Malika Albrecht, and I'm the founding editor of Redheaded Stepchild, and I'm super excited tonight. Jan has brought out people that I haven't seen in ages, and we're all here to celebrate Jan's latest book. Super excited. I'm going to give just a brief bio. I do want to remind people that if you would like to read for open mic, feel free to send me a message and I'll put you on the list. We have a pretty active chat section, and Jan, you know, I'll be sending it to you because I'm certain there'll be things that we write in there that I really want you to see. So feel free to use the chat section for memorable lines. I don't have the book in front of me, and I feel bad about that because the cover is fabulous, Jan, but I know you do. If you don't already have your copy, How to Cut a Woman in Half, and that is a stunning cover. I do have questions about how that got chosen. I'm going to read a brief bio. And I was telling Janice the name of her first book, Waiting for the Hurricane, which won the Lena Shull, by the way, Lena Shull Book Award from the North Carolina Poetry Society. But the irony is, of course, we're not waiting for a hurricane, but we do have some tropical weather coming our way. Her poems have appeared in journals and anthologies, which include Tar River Poetry and Journal of the American Medical Association, North Carolina Literary Review, and Beyond Forgetting Poetry and Prose about Alzheimer's disease. Jan was a runner-up for the White Pine Press Poetry Prize in 2020 and also a finalist in 2021 of the James Applewhite Poetry Prize. And again, 2022, you're just on a streak here, 2022 Randall Jarrell. After living in Switzerland for many years, we're very lucky that she has returned, her and her husband have returned to Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And her book that she will be reading and we'll be celebrating with her tonight was a finalist for the 2020 Muse Book Award. How to Cut a Woman in Half. And Jan, I am going to come spotlight you. Welcome here. I'm just so glad. I'm so thrilled to see you.
Thank you, Malika. Thank you for that introduction, and thank you to everybody out in Zoom land for coming this evening and giving up some time, especially with maybe a storm approaching. I'm going to read from my book, and this is the first time I've done reading from it. So thank you, Malika, for doing the book launch. The book tells the story of two sisters and their love and loyalty to each other, how they really save each other. The older sister supports her younger sister during the first few weeks of her life as a new widow. And in doing so, the older sister reconnects with her own submerged grief because her husband died her young husband had died many years before. So the two rescue each other. And let's see. The poems are all in first person from the point of view of the older sister. And each of the poems is a sonnet, which I don't know if that will be obvious or be detectable since you're not seeing it on the page, but maybe if I did my job as a sonneteer, you'll catch some of that. And I'd be happy to talk about that later if anyone's interested. So, the first poem I'm going to read, the title is a line from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. The sun for sorrow will not show his head. Find the bishop, his list of forbidden films. Our aunt and her date took Annie and me to a drive-in rerun of West Side Story. We were young teens, our notion of romance germinal. Our primary reference, our parents' tepid pecs. Curious, embarrassed by occasional front seat smooches, swept up by the giant screen technicolor passion of a modern Romeo and Juliet, We wept with Maria as Tony died in her lap, branding unwittingly our virginal hearts and adolescent psyches. As a toxin affects an embryo, did this early exposure to tragedy find love with loss in our destinies? The next poem moves ahead till Annie and her sister are young adults. Outer Banks Harbinger. Ranger's hut boarded up, our choice of campsites. Car radio broken. Too dark to notice the dunes, sea oats blown flat, a red pennant. Newlywed Pete and I, Annie and her boyfriend Nick, each of us ignorant. We struggle to pitch a mildewed family tent as the ocean roars and the wind gains force. All night we huddle with canvas walls snapping like loosed sails. Our youthful bodies, the only ballast. At dawn, storm spent, we unzip the flaps, astonished to be alive. Sure, God's grace has secured our futures. Soon Annie and Nick will graduate, get married at last. My young husband will take a curve too fast. And we move ahead again in time till the narrator and Annie have raised their daughters. Their daughters are adults. And one day, the narrator receives a phone call with the news that Annie's husband has taken his life. On the first flight out, easy to disbelieve at 30,000 feet, oxygen thin, awake before dawn, surreal to see the Alps' icy peaks below me, not above. Crossing the North Pole to LAX, 11 hours incommunicado. I concoct a shock antidote. The call was a hoax. Unreal 2, palm trees, brazen sun, driving the I-5 south to San Diego. I ring and ring, but no response at my sister's end. Parked curbside, seeing her house serene, I feel the waking sleeper's relief. It was only a dream. But at her door, a florist vase, white on green, lilies and mums, a card with a black band, Annie's name scrawled by a stranger's hand. The next poem is titled Bardo, and Bardo is a Buddhist term for the transitional time from when a soul leaves the earth and before it reincarnates into another lifetime. Bardo, keep his things, play his music, leave lights on. Annie's Buddhist acupuncturist advises. Nick may come and go for 49 nights. Daily they confer. Wary, I eavesdrop. It can't be healthy. Constant Tchaikovsky or the staged pretense of Nick's non-absence. Brass lamps glow beside his chair, a glass of Chilean red. Book open to last page read. Available for his ethereal touch, razor on sink, towel on hook, socks curled into balls. And on their bed, unaided by sleeping pills, edgy for a sign or caress, his wife, denied a goodbye, left behind in this life. The narrator agrees, she cancels her flight home and agrees to stay with her sister until she feels that she can be alone, which actually is a few months. Minefield. Her African gray parrot, dead on mimic, calls to Annie in Nick's voice, keeps it up until she drops night on the cage. The doorbell can mean more flowers or a neighbor with a crock pot, salad, and bread. The upbeat dental hygienist phones to book Nick's 6-month recall visit. The Blockbuster account is in his name. Coming home, each time we're tricked for an instant by Nick's car in the garage. The classical FM station asks if, again this year, they can count on him. On the patio where he smoked cigars, the pottery ashtray fills with rain. On strike. Remember, Annie, when Miss Jones shamed you for wet panties and you boycotted first grade? Each morning, book bag on your shoulder, you kissed mom, left with us, then ducked into the shed, hid with rakes and shovels, a stray cat for company. We reported you sick. Jacket and mittens on, you traced upper and lowercase letters, sounded out the words of easy readers, your breath frosted white. Finally opened your lunchbox when you thought it was noon. You watched for our return and joined us, red-cheeked, truant, proud. Annie, be yourself at 6, defiant, determined. Grief is a bully, fight back, don't give in. Pet sitter. We circle like boxers in a ring. Escaped from her cage, she flaps clipped wings, ruffles feathers layered like slate tiles, keeping her yellow irises fixed on me. Step up. I extend a wooden spoon, afraid to put a finger near her beak's scimitar, recalling Annie's counsel. If she bites, don't yelp. Parrots love drama. Drat her pets, a string of dysfunctional animals dating back to our childhood. A wool-eating cat, a heel-nipping dog, frogs, and a covert
And
and
she was.
Anna, I have to go. There's a Zoom call that I have to go into, so we'll talk later.
Oh,
Guys,
okay.
make
Okay,
sure
bye.
you mute yourself. Somebody is unmuted. Just a reminder. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay, should I start over? Okay, pet sitter. We circle like boxers in a ring. Escaped from her cage, she flaps clipped wings, ruffles feathers layered like slate tiles, keeping her yellow irises on me. Step up. I extend a wooden spoon, afraid to put a finger near her beak's scimitar, recalling Annie's counsel. If she bites, don't yelp. Parrots love drama. Drat her pets, a string of dysfunctional animals dating back to our childhood. A wool-eating cat, a heel-nipping dog, frogs, and covert gerbils reproducing wantonly in our closet. Love my sister, love her menagerie. I try a bribe of dried cranberries. He lingers on the earth plane. The Buddhist acupuncturist chides my sister for weeping, says her grief prevents Nick from loosening his attachment, keeps him near, desperate to comfort her. Off track in the intermediate state, he's stuck. His soul can't incarnate. My ear to her door, I hear Annie muffle sobs with a pillow to liberate her beloved from the limbo of their love. I imagine Nick beyond gravity, a Chagall figure, arm extended, gazing down from the cathedral ceiling's peak. Unable to touch or to leave her, he floats, weightless as an astronaut, tethered by her tears and his regret. The next poem I'm going to read was first published by Malika in Redheaded Stepchild. So thank you. His colleagues' wives pay a visit. Skin bronzed, manicures fresh, husbands safe at home with kids and warmed up dinners. They present Annie with a wrapped box. Nestled in tissue, Godiva liqueur and vodka, a chrome cocktail shaker, 2 glasses on pedestals. A martini kit, they chirp. You love chocolate. Partly right. What they missed at office mixers, Annie is a teetotaler. Her smile polite as she opens their next gift, a spa day and session with their favorite masseur. Pamper yourself, they say. Jorge is pure bliss. Unaware that she is years from ready for another man's hands to touch her. I mentioned early on that the narrator, the older sister, also lost her husband many years before. Single car accident. The empty child seat prompts a search party. Arm's length apart, rescue workers and neighbors who heard the crash step slowly, praying a toddler is not lost in these wet woods, was not ejected at impact like the driver, unconscious in the shrieking ambulance. Reckless with his own life, seatbelt unclasped, driving too fast for dusk, rain, this back road slick, blacktop. Surely he would have secured his son or daughter. Flashlight beams crisscross, careen from oak to redbud to pine, startling nesting birds and families of white-tailed deer. In unison, the men call out, fall silent, listen for the cries of a child who might be missing. Now I'll read one last poem. Acro yoga. Flex your trust muscle, the instructor advises, making us giggle. Annie and I alternate as flyer or base, each of us able to bear a sister's weight. Now, my back on the mat, our hands clasped, my feet supporting her thighs, I straighten my legs to 90 degrees. My turn to hold her aloft. Acrobat of strength and grace, she soars, escaping sorrow's labyrinth. Her liberty has freed me. Being her spotter, daily witness to her reckoning with loss, has released my heart's stubborn resistance to Pete's fate, long mourning of his absence. Together we flew close to grief's center, our wings sturdier than wax and feather. Thank you.
Whew. People, if y'all want to unmute and clap, I get it. I'm doing the same thing.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, Jan.
Amazing, Jan.
Wow.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Wow.
How
Beautiful.
long did it take you to write those?
It took probably a couple of years to write them and to revise and revise.
Yeah, we get to pretend like we have an insider secret because we just had a big pause. That's awesome. We are heading into open mic. I have 2, 4, 7 names. If you wanted to read and I somehow miss you, just say something to me. I will be glad to add you to the list. And Julia, we'll be starting with our guest signing in from Pennsylvania, and I'm gonna spotlight you, so give me just 1 second. Here we go.
Thank you. Thank you for your generosity, and it's so good to be here for the first time. And I want to thank Christy L. Williams, who has told me about this wonderful group, and I appreciate her advice. Now, what I'm going to do, my mother-in-law took care of folks who suffered from Alzheimer's when she was alive. This poem I dedicate this to the caretakers, and it's called Not Dancing in the Ashes of Dreams. Unable to dance, they slosh, trudge in the ashes of dreams. The pace inexorably withdraws backwards. Cruel voyeurs examine deteriorating expectations, limp and gasp, clutching the golden years. And the LPN asked, what was it this time? They stretch desperately, reach for recollection, embrace the retrospect, and see the bygone dances. We told them that if it were ever thus, and they noticed what was present, where had they been? They continue adrift through the cognitive fog, cuddling the images when they emerge and vanish in the clouds when they disappear. Ponder the frustration of everyone outside their dance, as there is no pleasure caressing the dead.
Whew.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much. That was powerful. I do want to let you know there's a comment in the lines that we're sticking with people in the chat section. Julia, I don't want you to miss that.
No, I won't. I'm looking at them
Good.
now.
Good. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
everybody.
fabulous. And I'm so glad that Christy got you here. And actually, that's who I'm going to next. So coming your way, Christy. Hang on.
So can everybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I was gonna read something different tonight, and then when Jan started talking about the connection between sisters, I decided I'm gonna read this poem that I wrote for a friend of mine. We grew up together and saw each other every day. And now that we're both in our 40s, there's not as much time for us to get together, maybe twice a year. So I wrote this for her on her 40th birthday. And it has an epigraph that says, while you remember the valley no longer remembers you. And that's from Beryl Mark on Go West with the Night. And this is titled Girls of Summer for Leslie. Hours before dawn, we rolled in slumber, each breath a rhyme, fit for what the highway offered. We tasted the first touch of summer once the sun found our eyes. Greasy fingertips shined as we pierced the aluminum foil bubble, foraging another fried chicken wing, laughing between crunches of Cool Ranch Doritos, long pulls from fog-kissed glass bottle baby Cokes. Bellies full, we planned our days and counted nights until our next crazy for Swayze marathon. These trips marked but a week, while 3 months sprawled before us. And Jaws would have his revenge when you jumped over my theater seat, avoiding his dead eyes. I rode the wave of giggles until my nuzzled feet snagged a 5-second anchor intent on evening the score at the bottom of an ocean blue pool liner. Sound lungs pushed us toward light, ears chased song, and limbs implored shadows dancing on window shades. We didn't know Def Leppard's cadence would become bedrock until, caught in a rush of time, we suspended ourselves in the veil between seasons, calling forth one last weekend, chasing pretty boys, flipped ass over tea kettle and landed in my lap. And there we laughed until we cried, knowing we were being swept ever far and away from girlhood. Life's push and pull would allow us little more than spiritual proximity. Even still tonight, my telephone speaks wistful tones as I am wrapped in reminiscence and entreating July. Thank you.
Oh, that was awesome. Thank you, Christy. I like it. Friends as sisters is a thing for real. Yeah, and check your comments in the comment section.
Okay, thank you.
Joan, I am coming to you. Thank you so much, Joan, for being co-host. I've got you. You can unmute when you're ready.
Okay.
It's
not gonna work.
Okay.
Oh, why not?
Even with the mute section, it's gonna hit something. I'm so sorry, Joan. Can you put a link to your book in the chat section too? Yeah. Joan's been on here to celebrate one book, and second book, Orange Tulips. Do you have the cover? Joan, I don't have the Orange Tulips cover. I was going to show it to everybody. Do you have it with you?
Karen's showing it.
Oh, I'm not seeing it because I've got a spotlight on. I can't see it. Yeah, oh good, there we go. And by the way, the cover model for that is Joan. Maria, I am coming your way. And if you could say something, sometimes that helps me.
Yep.
Oh, I see you now.
Here
Thank
I am.
you.
Thank you. Thank you for this. And Jan, the poems are awesome. Congratulations. It's a beautiful book. So happy to be here to hear you read. And welcome to everybody too. Is it okay to say that I'm going to read a poem from my new book? There it is. It's
Yes,
all the way to
please.
China. Yeah, all
And
the way to
actually hold
China.
it up for a second and go ahead and tell us the cover and where we can get it.
My son did the cover.
It's fabulous.
He's a painter. I'm sorry, it's because I've got this filter but it's all the way to China, and it's Finishing Line Press. It just came out. I just received my author copy, and thank you. There are people here who purchased it. Thank you for that, and I hope you're getting it soon because it's supposedly in the mail. And I'll read Margie Skips a Grade is the poem, and Margie is a character in this sequence of poems as well. She's also the Bronx girl. She's also my mother. So Margie skips a grade. Imagine a sallow girl, tall for her age and quiet, in a Bronx classroom with high double-hung windows and looming pendulum lights. Imagine that girl with her chin in her hand while her classmates stumble over AI, IA, IE, EI, and the multiplication tables and those long division problems she conquered in no time flat. Imagine Mrs. Levy writing her parents a note in the midterm report card about their very bright daughter accomplished in every subject beyond any of her peers. She's headed to college, Mrs. Levy predicts in her beautiful hand, no question about it. Imagine the girl, 6, maybe 7 years later, telling herself, yes, I will go to the university. I will become an anthropologist. I'll live in India. I'll write. Imagine her saying this out loud one night as she and her mother washed the dishes. The mother turns to the girl and, shaking her head slowly says, there's no money. There's hardly enough for food. For the sake of the little ones, the girl will work. Woolworth's at first, a counter girl. Imagine her standing at that greasy sink in 1930, passing the dripping plates to her mother one by one, remembering Mrs. Levy and that once girl who'd been so bright she skipped a grade. Imagine her at recess with friends swarming in wonder, their hands touching her face, her hair, her arms. Oh, Margie, oh, Margie. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Fabulous. And Laura, thank you so much for putting the link in so we can go straight to Maria's book at Finishing Line Press. And Maria, letting you know there's some comments in the chat section for you. I'm coming to you, Florence. I see you. Yay, I found somebody right off the bat. Yes.
Okay. If I don't get upstaged by my cat. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jan. You make me proud to be a sock. And thank you, Malika, for this. Did you say this is something you do every month?
We have been doing this weekly since the pandemic started. I
Oh,
have
How come I
over
don't know about this?
150 authors that we have celebrated, which is amazing to think about.
Shoot, I wish I'd known sooner.
Well, you know now, and we are booked up with some amazing ones upcoming.
Great.
So I will try to keep you. If you look up book launch Redheaded Stepchild, it should come up on
Yeah.
Facebook.
I'll be back. Thank
Yes, I would love that, Florence. I would love that.
you. Okay, this is Clouds. I was eating my Bahama Mama Pelican snowball at a Pepto-Bismol pink picnic table beside the truck traffic roaring down Roxborough Road, not thinking for a change about being old or being white or lonesome or about much of anything really, when this roughed up skinny guy came walking across the cracked asphalt. And since he was looking at me, I said, hey. And he said, hey, baby, how you doing today? And I said, so far, so good. And he said, it's hot out here. I said, yeah, it is. And then I don't know why, but I said to him, I almost hit another car a little while ago looking at these clouds because they're so beautiful today. So I thought I'd better stop for a snowball and look from here. And he said, yeah, well, you stay cool, baby, and kept on walking. And I kept on eating my snowball. And then he turned and walked back and said, you know, sometimes I take photographs of clouds myself, and then started to leave, but stopped again and said, let me tell you one more thing. If you know how to look at clouds just right, you can see about anything you want to. And I said, I know exactly what you mean. And he said, yeah. So you be happy, baby. And this time he did leave. And I still feel really happy.
I love that. Yes. Yeah, Eliza just wrote, love this poem, love your poet voice. Yes, yes.
Thank you very much.
Fabulous. Y'all have brought the fire tonight with the open mic. I'm so happy. Thank you, Jan. Donna, I am coming your way. Give me one moment.
Jan, that reminded me of John Prine song. I love the rhythm of that. My mother has dementia and she's 92, she's going on 93. And I've been writing a group of poems about that. I'm going to show you a picture of the poem. It's just, the words are scattered all over the page. Dementia, when I forget I'm me. An entire life of regrets forgotten. long conversations evaporate into passing moments. Don't try to remember the words. They are like picking at threads. One miraculously catches between thumb and finger as you hold on to a single string. Pull, pull, and watch as the fabric and everything that once held you together unravels.
Whew, powerful. I have a feeling we're gonna be celebrating that book at some point, Donna.
I'm working on it, but
No, I feel it. Hard topic, and I relate to it. Yep. And there's some comments in the chat section. We have our final open mic person. Where's my Regina? There she is. I'm headed your way.
Good evening, everyone. I have so enjoyed the featured reader and everybody. And this poem that I'm going to read tonight is actually probably on a topic that maybe many of you have talked about. It's entitled Retrograde. A sister friend came to me today saying she felt off kilter, like the world was tricking her. Car wrecked, insurance not covering all of what she wanted, what she needed for it to cover, having paid consistently, faithfully over all these years. I told her, as we have the same number of birthdays, mine before hers, that 55 is a time, a whole mess, honey. And then we laughed. Then I told her that it is surely Mercury in retrograde. And we laughed some more. Then, yielding to our collective indoctrination, no, girl, doubling over, steeped in religiosity, having been brought up in the word. I sometimes forget that so much of the God of our ancients is wrapped in stars and winds and cleansing water and purging fires in the least rigid of ways, talking, moving earth and skies, rescuing even when we forget the promised power. We revert to westernized boxes of place, destiny, fixed time. But God has the world in God's hands, power flowing to and through. Of course, she then reminded me of the time that we had our brooms balanced upright in the middle of our kitchen floors, a test of magical prowess. She took hers down before I did, said it creeped her out. It was a joke, and I love to take them jokes far, but in truth, this monument of my inherent power somehow made me feel more able, more free. It stayed a long time. It was not before I said it could be taken down. Nobody dared. Its ever-standing presence lifted me, emboldened me, and reminded me that there really was something in me, maybe like a too often smothered power, science, magic, Black girls, God. Thank you.
Oh, I love that. Retrograde for sure. I was just thinking of, there was a meme that went around TikTok that was, I just want to know what planet's making me feel so crazy. And the one woman answered it, it's Earth, honey. Earth is making you feel crazy. It was fabulous to be in y'all's good company. Jan, powerful book. Congratulations. Thank you. I am so happy that we got to celebrate with you. And I'm glad a lot of the Black Sox showed up, and I'm super glad that all y'all were here. Have a good night. Fingers crossed for a lot of wind around here.
Thank you.
And happy ponies. Thank you.
Thank you, Malika.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you. Be
And
well.